Hey, what's up YouTube? Down the Smartphone Guy coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to talk about the battery king for Cricket Wireless customers. This is the LG X Charge, and it is an absolute battery beast. So let's go ahead and talk about what all this thing has to offer. This is my 72-hour review of the LG X Charge. Alright, so before we get too far into this video, let me just mention some of the features that Cricket puts on their box. We have a quad-core processor, and as you can see right over here, it is a Snapdragon processor. It's a 400 series processor clocked at 1.4 gigahertz. We have a 13 megapixel camera on the rear, 5 megapixel camera on the front. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. And both of those shoot in full HD for video, so front and rear shoot in full HD. We have a front and rear flash as well. And then this is probably the biggest reason why you might consider picking this up is that 4,500 milliamp hour battery, and that's why I call this the battery king for Cricket Wireless. Now, with that being said, you can actually pick this up unlocked as well. So the Cricket Wireless version that I got is $99, or if you port a number over to Cricket Wireless, you can get it for $50, which is a fantastic deal for sure. Now, this is available, as I mentioned, as an unlocked phone, so you can see that here on Amazon. I believe Amazon's the only place you can get the unlocked version. So it's $200 if you want it without the Amazon ads, or $150. Now, one thing I want to mention here that is slightly different about this version is the fact that this one actually has a MediaTek processor versus the Qualcomm Snapdragon processor that you get on the version from Cricket Wireless. So that is kind of a difference. The MediaTek processor is clocked at 1.5 gigahertz, whereas the Snapdragon processor that comes with the Cricket Wireless version is clocked at 1.4 gigahertz. Alright, so with that being said, let's talk about some of the features on the phone. So that 5 megapixel camera, we have our earpiece and front-facing flash. On the bottom you can see that we just have LG branding, no capacitive buttons here because you can see that they are software buttons. So that is what you get on the front of the phone. 5.5 inch, that is a 720p display, if I didn't mention that already. On the side you can see that we have a microphone. This is definitely just a hardened plastic, it's not metal, even though it might look kind of metalish. We have our power button over there, and on the bottom we have micro USB for charging it up. I do want to mention here that, so of course it comes with that micro USB for charging it, but then it does also come with an LG fast charger, so that's pretty fantastic. I mean, especially if you're getting it for $50 on Cricket, the fact that it comes with a fast charger was a nice surprise for me. So we have our volume rocker over here. Down here we have our SIM tray, and it's also going to double as your micro SD card for expansion tray. So this only comes with 16 gigs of onboard storage, so that does allow you to expand that onboard storage as well. Then we have a microphone up top. I think that's about it in terms of the build quality. So another thing worth mentioning is we do have that rear firing speaker. This is the exact same backing you get with the LG K20 Plus, also the same as the LG Aristo for Metro and T-Mobile. So the exact same backing, so if you're familiar, it does have some nice texture to it, but it's definitely plasticky without a doubt. It is a non-removable back. In fact, they had a sticker right up here that says, "Do not remove this, you'll damage the phone." So they made a point, and then actually when you turn the phone on, it says that right away. It is a non-removable back. Now, so that's a little bit about the build. Let's talk about the Geekbench scores here and performance of this device. So as I mentioned, this is running a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 series processor, and you can see here the multi-core score and the single-core score. What I will mention here is that yes, you will have just a few hiccups as you're going through the UI. Social media is where I tend to find some of the hiccups. In terms of gaming, I've really only played a couple games on here, so I've been playing NBA Jam, also Hill Climb Racer as well. Those play just fine, absolutely no hiccups whatsoever. Those are smaller apps. If you're going to play some heavy-duty apps, you may run into some performance issues, but I mostly found the performance issues when I was trying to do a bunch of multitasking. So if I was jumping from app to app, like let's say Amazon, so that came up pretty quick. Not too bad there. Going back to Geekbench, so pretty good there. Don't need to look at my PayPal account, even though you just saw. All right, so Google Play. You can see it's going to take a little while for that to load up, but for the most part, this thing is performing quite well. Now let's go ahead and talk about the camera. So again, 13 megapixel camera up front, 5 megapixel camera up on the rear. The one thing I will say about these cameras that maybe is just a slight complaint is the shutter lag. There is just a little bit of shutter lag, especially if you're in kind of a lower light situation. So that one was actually pretty quick. But overall, the cameras have actually been pretty decent. So this is a lower light photo in my basement. The light was on, but it's kind of a darker room. So my son dressed up as a stormtrooper. But I'll show some more of these photos at the end, so you can kind of be the judge for yourself in terms of the selfie camera and that rear 13 megapixel camera. But overall, I'd say the cameras are not too bad. A little bit better than I would have expected from a phone that is not that expensive. They're not super impressive, but also not bad at all. Now, in terms of battery life, that is where this phone definitely shines. So that 4,500 milliamp hour battery, again, is non-removable. But I'm just going to show you just some of the this is actually my second full day of going into usage, so I could easily get through 2 full days, because in the first day I think I got through with about 50, maybe 53%, but then I kept using it, watching some video at night. But let's go ahead and take a look at that battery in terms of the stats here. So you can see that there is a battery saver mode there, but this is what is kind of amazing here. So 22% screen on. All right, so 6 hours and 23 minutes with 43% battery remaining. Again, that is also with it sitting idle overnight. So you're looking at easily probably 10 plus hours of screen on time with this phone, which is absolutely fantastic. So not only does it have a large battery, but it seems to be also very efficient on the battery as well. So battery life with this phone is definitely a 2-day battery phone, so that is great. And yes, it really is 0 degrees, and that's Fahrenheit, as you can see. So it is very cold in Michigan right now. All right, so with that being said, the software I'm just not a huge fan of. So I actually have a theme on the phone at the moment, so that's why we got Santa Claus in the background. You notice that some of my apps are themed at the moment. So if you're interested in some of the themes, so LG Smart World has a ton of themes, which I would recommend checking out, because I'm just not a huge fan of the stock LG software. Personally, they do include some nice tweaks. So LG Smart World's where you're going to get those themes. I just happen to have a Christmas theme on at the moment. But in terms of some of the settings, I'm going to jump in here to the settings. There are some features that they include on here. So there is no fingerprint sensor, so that's a little unfortunate. It would be nice, instead of having Cricket logo there, to have a fingerprint sensor, but probably would have cost more. So we do have a short keys option, so that's where you can use some of these buttons as hotkeys. So that's good. We do also have, I should mention here, that it does not come with, there's my wife commenting on something, but it doesn't actually come with the app drawer there. So if you want the app drawer, you're going to have to go in here to our home screen. So that's where you want to go, and then you want to switch it here up at select home, and the version it comes with is home. That's where you don't have the app drawer, whereas down here with the home and app drawers, we're going to get it. So if you want the app drawer, that's where you can have it. So you can see that there are some themes in here as well. So this will basically just take you into the themes that they have available, but if you want to add some, you want to go into that LG Smart World. All right, so and I mentioned already that there is double tap to wake. So if I turn that off, we can double tap it. Maybe. There it goes. All right, so it will work. So software-wise, I'm just not a huge fan of LG's software. I still think that they need to tweak a little bit, maybe make it a little less, little more stock feel. But overall, the software experience is not too bad. It's typical LG software. I'm just not a huge fan, but it's not terrible either. Now, let's go ahead and listen to that rear firing speaker, and we'll talk about some of the other things available on this phone. So with that being said, let's jump into YouTube here, and let's fire up some music. Again, it is rear firing. Alright, so you can get an idea. It's definitely not a very great speaker. It's obviously rear firing, so if you're gaming, you can cover it up pretty easily. And it's obviously not facing the ideal direction. Ideal would be front facing. There's plenty of space here for it, so that would be nice. But obviously, for a cheaper phone, you can't always expect the best features on a phone. So there is no waterproofing on this phone. However, there is a 3.5 millimeter auxiliary cord. So if you don't want to have to listen to that rear firing speaker, You can, of course, plug in some headphones or some Bluetooth. So I've been using it with my LG Tone Infinums over the last couple of days, and for phone calls it's been great. Also the earpiece has been great for phone calls, so no problems there in terms of phone call quality. You can get this unlocked as well, so if you want to use it on maybe another carrier, GSM carrier, you can get it unlocked for pretty inexpensively as well. So with that being said, just kind of my quick thoughts on the LG X Charge. Again, battery king of Cricket Wireless phones right now. Incredible battery life, and overall pretty solid device. Not too bad overall. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments section. Please subscribe to this channel for videos like this on other budget phones, but also flagship devices as well. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.